Last night, I found myself unexpectedly processing a trauma that I didn't know I had. And it wasn't through me, it was through an experience one of my kids had. And that's why, I will express a lot that when we heal ourselves, we heal the whole family. When we hurt ourselves, when we stay in a harmful place, and we don't learn emotional regulation and we don't learn to take care of ourselves, we hurt our whole family. And when we're healing ourselves, everybody else's experiences becomes ours too, which can be really overwhelming, but it can be very beautiful if we are willing to sit in awareness and kind of um, experience this. And so anyway, last night, one of my kids, a parent from the neighborhood knocked on the door and they were getting in trouble for something. And it doesn't matter what it was. My kids are really awesome, and this is very rare that something like this happens. And it wasn't, the parent was very good about it. They could have been really upset, but they were good about it. But what I found in that moment was that as I was, yes, speaking to my kid about what had happened, and also consoling my kid, making sure that their emotions were okay after this experience, um, I felt a lot of guilt, of shame, of low self esteem, of humiliation. And I wasn't even the one that got in trouble, right? And I thought about this, and there are so many things I want to say about this situation. And so I'm sorry, this is going to ramble a bit, but what came up in that time for me, and what I have to be so careful that I have not passed to my children, was a huge fear of being wrong, of being not being wrong, that's the wrong one, getting in trouble, right? Um, a big, overwhelming emotional response to the idea of getting in trouble. When I was a kid, and this is not a specific adult, this is not that someone specifically got angry with me, it's not anything like that, okay? So I don't want you to think this is towards my parents, towards a teacher, towards anyone. Excuse me. I just woke up. If someone got mad at me, if they yelled, if, you know, if I got in trouble for something, which is essentially just making a mistake, right? And we talk about that a lot, how mistakes are good. Mistakes are good because we learn what not to do. For me, when I heard that person yelling, it was the same thing as that person saying they hated me and that I was a bad person. And because of that, if I look very introspectively, which you want to do when you have these big emotional responses, it's so important. You don't have to do it right then, depending upon what's going on, but I try to do it right then because it's going to eat me up if I don't. When I look introspectively, to no one's fault, not blaming an adult or a caregiver in my lives, I could not handle the idea of being wrong, of screwing up, of getting in trouble, of being wrong, right? Not just like a little mistake, even though it went into little mistakes too, but it became this thing. And so if I think about how that affected my life, I stayed in 3 different relationships that I should have walked away from. Now, the first one was a little bit different, but the other two, I can tell you right now, when I realized they were bad, I didn't want to have made a mistake. And because I didn't want to have effed up, I stayed in them. I didn't want to admit that I screwed up, especially after getting married, especially after, getting to a certain point. With the last one, I knew immediately. Like, it was like the first 7 or 8 months that things started to get very scary. But part of what kept me in that spot, and I'm trying to choose my words very carefully because it's so important to me, was that I was so afraid of being wrong, of messing up. Like, more than just like, oops, I wore the wrong color socks with my outfit, Like the mess ups, the ooh, you got in trouble mess up. So there are two ways I want to go with this conversation. The first one being, if you're there, please, please, please help yourself to learn. It's just another mistake. And we have to make mistakes to learn. If we didn't make mistakes, we wouldn't go anywhere in life. We would never progress, right? We would just have this straight path. Everything would be known for us, and life would really suck. You have to make mistakes. You make mistakes to learn who you are. You make mistakes to learn who the people around you are. You make mistakes to learn what you like and what you don't like. You make mistakes to learn where it is that you want to keep making mistakes and grow further. And you make mistakes in areas that tell you, like, this thing isn't for me. So if you're in that boat and you have for some reason grown up with this huge wave of shame, of guilt, of humiliation, of low self-esteem towards a situation where you get in trouble, whether it's, oh shit, I fucked up, I made a mistake at work and my boss is yelling at me, or I got a ticket, or I really fucked up and I cheated on my spouse and I'm owning up to that, whatever it is, right? God, I hope you own up to that if you do that. Don't be the people that don't. But anyway, we have to reparent ourselves. We have to ride the waves of shame and humiliation and sit with that little us in the corner and say, it is okay. You're not a bad person. And you're not. I promise you, you're not. You're not bad. You're not horrible. I don't care if you went on some kind of cocaine bender and then like woke up and was like, oh fuck, I wasn't going to do that again and now I did it. It's fine. When you beat yourself up in that way, when you allow that inner child to get bullied by the ego, by the outside world, whatever it is that's yelling at you on the inside, that's telling you you're so horrible, you're perpetuating the problem. You're making it so you can't get past that. You can't learn. You can't grow. You can't heal. So take time to sit with that inner kid and say, how is this kid feeling? Because fuck, last night I felt small. I felt so bad. I had to excuse myself and I went and took a shower. I was already working through emotions. I cried. I really got introspective and I said, what is up? And I had another one of these experiences where what I see in my head, like if I think about this, is like the little kid being in the corner and all the big people, not necessarily adults, but whatever, all the big people like screaming at them or whatever. And I realized at that point that at the point that I answered the door and talked to the parent, and to everything that happened, I did not feel safe. I felt like I was now in a place that felt dangerous to me. And it wasn't. No one was mean. No one was bad. They handled the situation beautifully. And it wasn't an end of the world situation either, right? It was just, I have children and sometimes they're going to get in trouble. And I knew that the emotional response I was having was not toward my child. It was towards that internal child, and feeling like it was happening to me. Now, my second point of this. So, first point, because I ramble so bad. Work on your inner child and love that person. When those waves of humiliation and shame come up, I want you to sit with them. I want you to tell yourself that this is not about this situation. This is about something a long time ago. We may not even know what. We don't have to know. But love that person. Love that kid and tell that kid inside that you're okay. And if you're doing this just strictly from reparenting your inner child, it might take a while. It might take a couple mistakes. It might take a couple days each time. And I still have stuff I'm going to work through today. But love on that kid, okay? My second point is this. If you're parenting an emotionally sensitive child, be mindful of not only how you react when something goes wrong, how you respond to a situation when that kid is getting in trouble for something, but be very aware of the dialogue that you're having with that child after they get in trouble. Because what you don't want to do is have the kid going off to themselves, not speaking to anyone, and beating themselves up and thinking they're such a horrible person. They're a kid. They're going to make mistakes. That's what happens. So how are you as the adult reacting to that situation? Are you allowing your kid to feel damage around that situation? Are you allowing them to feel like a bad person because we're not discussing it? We're getting in trouble and that's it. Or are you having the dialogue with them? Like, I know that basically I took my son and I said, hey, I know this feels really awful. When we get in trouble, I know we can feel embarrassed. We can feel humiliated. And I didn't make him tell me these emotions that he was feeling, right? I just felt into the situation. I said, I know that this can make us feel really bad, but it's okay. It's just a mistake. And sometimes we make mistakes and that's fine. And I made sure that he was in an okay spot by the time he went to bed, to not be attacking himself internally, thinking that he was such a bad person. As a parent, it's not every other adult's job to get this right, but it is yours. Take time to sit with your children when they make a mistake, when they have a screw up, whether it's a failed test or a friend gets mad at them or another adult gets upset with them. And take time to sit with that kid and say, hey, it's just a mistake and everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes. We all do it all the time, and that's how we learn and how we grow. And that way that kid is not growing up beating themselves up, staying in ridiculous situations because they are petrified at the idea of making a mistake. When we do these things and we both parent ourselves with the emotional responses that are coming up and learn to parent our kids in a way that we did not necessarily receive, whether it was the adults around us or not, because I'm not saying that I was lacking in good parenting. When we do this, we heal everybody. We heal ourselves. We become a more whole version of ourselves. And our kids get to grow up without some of the trauma that we grew up, and they get to heal their kids too. So that's it. Something for you to think about. I hope you have a really good day.